Welcome to Look Around Florida. Sean will be with you in a minute.
Welcome to Look Around Florida. Hi, I'm your host, Florida Man, aka Sean McFall. Thank you for joining tonight. We have our Lieutenant CIC, Mr. Donnie Kennedy. He's in the background right now. So we got some events coming up. Let me get this out of the way so me or Donnie don't get in trouble. Yeah, this show is based on the Florida Division, the news updates on Florida Division, Army of Tennessee, and National. Make sure you have an idea what's coming up. With that being said, if you're going to Division Reunion, start registering now. Get your stuff in. I spoke to our Division Commander, Kevin Hart, today. He did have this to say. Get your registrations in, because if you don't register, you're not going to get a hat and you may not get a meal. So get your registrations in. If you need to know where to get to print out the registration, I had a quick link here. There we go. You can check out the division website. On that, there is a section for the division reunion. So get your registrations in. All right, we got Keith from Camp 1209 in the house. We got Jeffrey O'Connor, our chairman of Flags Across Florida. We got Linda and Roy Hudson from the Captain J.J. Dickerson camp in the house. Welcome, guys and ladies. Hope y'all are doing well. Can't wait to see you guys in less than a few weeks. Gonna be a blast. Like I said, get your registrations in for the division reunion. If you like this episode, you like any of the past episodes, we're on Facebook and YouTube. So, and I know we got division members out there that are not on Facebook. With YouTube, you can share an episode out and they can view it. They can give me a thumbs up or whatever. I prefer a thumbs up, and hit that subscribe button. It helps me out to promote what we're doing here in the Florida Division and the AOT and national headquarters from our national leadership. With that, we have a couple of, besides the national reunion, we do have a couple other events coming up. We got this one, Saturday, May the 18th, 2024 at 11 a.m. at the flag site in White Springs. There's going to be hamburgers or hot dogs served with cowboy beans, $10 a plate. The funds will be going back to that flag site. So please check it out and help those gentlemen out with the flag site. Oh, sorry, Jeffrey. I thought you were asking me a question. All right, we got this event coming up. This is the weekend before Division Reunion. The CSS Chattahoochee Mass Grave Memorial Service hosted by the 8th Florida Quincy Young Guard Camp 703, Saturday, May the 25th, 2024 at 10:30 a.m. Location is 14 Main Street, Chattahoochee, Florida. So, and I did want to put this out there, let you know, guys know what we're here for. Duty is a subtitle word in our language. Do your duty, all things. You cannot do more. You should never wish to do less. Robert E. Lee. So we talked about events and upcoming stuff. We got a few people watching. They just haven't chimed in the chat to say hi. So with that, let's bring up our Lieutenant Commander in Chief, Donnie Kennedy.
Hey Sean.
Sir, how you doing?
I am doing quite well here in North Louisiana. It's a pretty day here. I hope y'all having a good day in Florida.
Yeah, it's a warm one now.
It's that time of year, bro. We are south of the Mason-Dixon, thanks be unto God.
Well, I'm south of that, and I'm only a few hundred miles north of Cuba.
I heard that y'all lived in North Cuba. Is that correct? Or
Well, that's on the other coast. You know,
okay, all
I'm
right.
over here on the Gulf Coast.
Oh, yeah, okay. With the civilized people. Okay, yeah,
Well, right. you know, some are, some not, depending on where you go.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Well, it is a good Southern day here, I assure you. I mean, and thank you for inviting me. And it's always good to talk to the folks in Florida. Florida means a lot to the Confederacy. At one time, when I was just growing up, learning about the quote war, it was always said that that Florida was the breadbasket of the Confederacy. That it provided more meat for the Confederate troops, especially the ones in the Army of Northern Virginia, I believe. I may be misspeaking there, but I think if that's correct. And there were several places such as that, and the Shenandoah Valley provided a lot of wheat until somebody ran through there and must have dropped a few matches and burned a few barns and bridges and mills and stuff like that. But it was important. So Florida holds a special place for me and for all good Confederates. So thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome, sir. So anything new going up at HQ that you're
now we had the pilgrimage this past weekend, and it was a great event. We held it right next to the equestrian statue of Forrest, and that statue, which we'll touch on here in a few minutes, hopefully, that statue will be going up on this pedestal in the plaza, hopefully in the near future. Now, I'm not talking about weeks or months, but in the near future, at least in the next year or so. So we were definitely heading that direction, but we had several good speakers, and different groups from different organizations spoke, but I was really impressed. The keynote address was given by the President General of the United Daughters of the Confederacy, which is really was very pleasant to hear her speak. And hopefully we'll all begin seeing that we have a common enemy. We have a common cause, and we need to really work better together as various Southern organizations. Now, the Sons of Confederate Veterans, as you know, in Florida, we have a special place. And our place is to vindicate the cause of our Confederate ancestors. And whether you're in Louisiana, Florida, Virginia, Ohio, or wherever, if you're a Confederate, then that's your charge, to vindicate the cause. And that's what we're all about.
Well, your boss has joined the channel. Evening, Commander Boshears.
Do we have a brochures in there? My goodness gracious. Hey, he spoke very well. He handled Commander Brochures this past weekend. Kudos to him. He really put together a good presentation. We really enjoyed that event. I wished I could have gotten a photograph of the event to you, but I just did not have time. But one of the photos that I did get, did not send to you, but I got was, of all things, a photo from the Oklahoma Division, their new division flag, which has in the canton of the Oklahoma, it's the Indian Territory flag. They have 5 stars in the canton representing the 5 civilized tribes, which I thought was very interesting. So we got to present that this weekend also. So we've had a lot going. The museum is improving. It's looking better. The Elm Springs is looking better. They're getting it back to what it was in the 1830s and 40s. So it's really beginning to look better, and we're getting a little more notoriety. So, enough said about that. If you don't mind, I'd like to talk about one of the main issues with the SCV, and I feel like one of the major problems that we need to deal with, and that's communications.
Yes, sir.
Communication. Now, communications, as I see it, is a two-way street, or else it's not communication. So when I'm talking about communication, I'm not talking about people at headquarters sending out missives to the people under us, because there's no such thing. We are a bottom-up organization. The people at the local level, the camp, that's where the activity, that's where the action, that's where the real fighting is done. Headquarters can certainly assist and provide tools for the camps, but we cannot do at the headquarters what has to be done at the local level. Sean, I got in the SEV and I think around 1985. And I remember the guy that got me in, that helped me organize one of the first SEV camps in North Louisiana. The first thing he told me was, always remember that the work of the SCV is done at the camp, the local level. So what I'm anticipating now, as you know, or as you may know, I'm running for the commander-in-chief's position. If I am elected that position, if the membership so choose to elect me to that position, one of the things that I really want to do is improve our communications. Let me give you an example. I was at the AOT meeting last weekend. They had a workshop there, and they was asked for a show. I think Commander Jimmy Hill asked for a show of hands how many people were on the telegraph, the SCV telegraph. Well, I would say about 80% of the people showed hands. So that's good. That's a good response there. Now, when you go to the camps, I've been at about 3 or 4 different camps in each of the different armies, Trans-Mississippi, AOT, and Army of Northern Virginia. When you ask that question, usually it's 40, maybe if you're lucky, 50%. Usually 30 to 40% of the people say, yes, I'm signed up for the SCV telegraph. We've got to find a way to encourage more people, not only to sign up for the SCV telegraph, but to read it and to respond to it. And this is the reason why. Let's say we have an attack in Florida. Something is going on in Florida, and the people in Florida needs help from all around the Confederation. Well, that information for help, that plea for help, comes from national headquarters on telegraph all across the country. For instance, Georgia recently had an attack, had some idiots in the legislature wanted to rename or do away with Stone Mountain. We sent out on the telegraph from national at the request of Georgia. And we don't do anything at headquarters without first talking to the commander. In your case, we talked to Commander Calvin Hart. Say, look, y'all having a problem? Would you like for us to do this? And then the commander is the one, the division commander is the one say, yes, we need that assistance. Well, Tim Pilgrim said, yes, we need some help. We sent out the telegraph, sent out a message on our one-click politics, and all of a sudden the governor in Georgia started getting emails from all across the country. And interestingly enough, he was getting emails from Michigan, from New Jersey, from California, Colorado, Washington. Now, listen, folks, it's one thing for a Southern governor to hear from Southerners, don't do away with our Confederate monument. But when he starts hearing from people outside of the South, well, that makes him stop and think. Well, the only way you're going to get that message out is if you have people signed up on the telegraph. So we're going to have to look at how we can get more people activated on the SCV telegraph. An essential tool in the defense of our heritage. Another thing is SCV chat. How many people even watch SCV chat? So we need to get more people. Yeah, I know you do. I see your name on there all the time. I always know somebody. I've seen Commander Calvin Hart's name. I've seen a lot of people from Florida on there. So there's been a lot of response from Florida. And I think this program has a lot to do with it. Seriously, I really do. If other divisions had programs similar to this, I think that would help us also. But SCV chat is a way to keep in touch with what's going on around the Confederation. Same thing. Now, around the Confederation, I've had a lot of people complain saying we send pictures to the Confederate veteran and it never gets published. Well, one of the reasons why is because If we published every picture in the Confederate veteran that's sent to us, it would be a volume of nothing but photographs. So, and to get around that, all we've got to do now, folks, is to send it to SCV chat around the Confederation, and they'll, Harrison Dawes, Moose, and Connor, they will work to get those photographs, and they have a picture. You've done something in your local area, you've got a picture, you got a byline, and they'll talk about it, and everybody will see it. Now, here's the important thing. It's good for your account to know, hey, we got publicity. But the most important thing is that Confederate patriots all across the country will see activity that you're doing. I noticed in the prologue to this program, you were talking about the upcoming events you're having in Florida. Wonderful. People all across Confederation needs to know what Florida is doing, what North Carolina is doing, what Tennessee is doing. That encourages us. And then Commander's Comment. By all means, once a year, please listen to Commander's Comment. And again, it keeps you informed. So communication is going to be something that we will really be pushing in the next 2 years. If I am elected to you as your commander-in-chief. If not, whoever is elected, I will work with that individual, because I'm sure he would feel the same as most people understand that we need better communications, and I will work with that individual to do this. One of the things that I'm proposing, and I'm going to need input from the various Army commanders, is that we need in the Sons of Confederate Veterans at least 2 or 3 times a year in each Army, the CIC and the Lieutenant CIC and the division commanders, the Army commanders and councilmen, and the brigade commanders in that Army need to have a Zoom meeting where we can talk about things that are going on, things that are upcoming, things that you need to be involved with. We need to be sure that brigade commanders understand just how important their job is. Now, we've got some wonderful brigade commanders, but if Florida is like Louisiana, which is like Texas, which is like Virginia, you're going to have some strong brigade commanders and you're going to have some weak brigade commanders. We need to pull those weak guys up and let them show them what needs to be done. Especially when we have a major heritage fight coming up, we need to be working together and everybody needs to be on the same page. So I'm looking at maybe in each Army, we get all the brigade commanders, the division commanders, etc., together in a Zoom meeting. We don't have to go anywhere. We can do it on Zoom. And if we need to break the Army down into 2 or 3 different things, we can do that. But that needs to be done. So all of these things are things that are help communication. Now, when I was in Tennessee this past weekend, I made the statement that no Army has ever been victorious if it did not have good communications. You cannot win a battle if you cannot communicate with your troops. The commander may be the most brilliant Napoleon out there, but if he can't communicate to his lieutenant generals, to his major generals, to his brigade generals, and on down the line, if that communication fails, folks, we fail. So we need to work on communication. That is definitely something that we're going to do. Does that make any sense to you, Sean?
Yeah, because I do have a question for you, speaking on communication.
Yes.
And speaking on the telegraph.
Yes.
Is there a possible way, when you got a new member or a friend of the SCV, when you send their application into national, to automatically put them on the telegraph?
It is. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. It is my impression we're already doing that. Now, if that's not happening, please let us know, because somebody's falling down somewhere. But right now, it is my impression when we get that list, it has your email address on there, we automatically sign you up. Now, here's the problem. A lot of people are not, when they sign up with SCV, they don't know what the SCV telegraph is, and they get something in their inbox and they'll delete it. And that'll be the end of that. Or worse than that, they'll get something they really like and they say, oh, I got to send this to Billy Bob down the road. He's not an SCV member. He needs to hear this. He gets it. And then he starts getting information. He down the bottom, it says to unsubscribe. Well, he unsubscribes, and what he does is unsubscribe the SCV member. So we need to be sure that new members realize that you will be getting the information, and it doesn't come about maybe at most 2 or 3 times a month. So your inbox will not be flooded with stuff. But the new members need to know, number one, they will be getting information on the Telegraph, what the Telegraph is. And please, if you forward it, be sure you let the individual know, don't delete this. If you unsubscribe, you delete me. The best thing to do in a case like that is to copy and paste and send it as a document, the information. So the great question. I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah, because I just submitted 3 new members, so I want to make sure they're on the Telegraph.
Yes. And one thing we need to push is also friends. I'm glad you mentioned that. There are a lot of people, especially in these areas like Florida, Texas, North Carolina. You get a lot of people coming down south. And I know we all make fun about the Yankee invasion, but I'm telling you, both the Northerners coming down and a lot of the people, Hispanics that are coming in legally, they favor what we're talking about. Now, a lot of the Northerners especially have never heard our side of the story. So it's our job to let them hear the truth and to woo them onto our way of thinking. So it's not an impossible task. It can be done. And that's one of the things I'd like, if we got time to discuss right now, community outreach, because this falls under what we call community outreach. Carl Jones, I think you've heard of him. If you haven't heard him, just be quiet. You can hear him probably all the way from Cullman, Alabama right now. Oh, Lord, there's Carl. Carl made a point. He stressed both when he was chairman of Chief Heritage Promotions, that he said that community outreach is a necessary element of winning people to our side. We cannot be a well-kept secret, and Carl is very strong on that. Now, here's some of the things that I want to do, and I proposed this at the AOT meeting in last weekend, and I will keep proposing this. We need to have a way at the local level. And remember, just like I said, when I first joined the SCV, everything's local. At the local level, we need a way to make sure that the people at the local level understand that the Sons of Confederate Veterans is an organization that supports the community and the founders of these communities. Now, let me give you an example. In Ruston, Louisiana, I was once commander, before I moved to West Monroe, commander of the Sergeant James W. Nicholson camp in Ruston, Louisiana. Well, most people in Ruston have no idea who James W. Nicholson is. Well, listen to this. He was a 16-year-old boy when he joined the Confederate military. I have a picture of him. We have a picture of him in his homemade Confederate uniform. 16 years old. It was a company of Confederate troops that ended up being Company D, 12th Louisiana Volunteer Infantry. They left Homer, not Homer, but Homer, Louisiana, up here in North Louisiana. And he made the remark that every man looked like a soldier, but no 2 soldiers looked alike, because they always wearing homemade Confederate uniform, military uniform. Well, this individual ended up being the chancellor of LSU University. He was head of the Department of Mathematics and then became chancellor. If you'll drive through the middle of LSU University, you're driving on Nicholson Drive. Think about that. Now, from little old Ruston, Louisiana, you have somebody of this notoriety. One of the oldest VFW halls in Baton Rouge is named after this Confederate veteran. In World War II, the people in Baton Rouge collecting money to build a, quote, bomber for the war effort, and they named the bomber Old Nick in honor of this gentleman. Now, what this shows is that this local Confederate veteran was a solid member of society, and he brought the South, he and the other Confederate veterans brought the South out of defeat and poverty, and was a fundamental member of society, somebody that was very important. Most people have no idea. They see the Confederate veterans and they think of them, well, they just some old men that fought and died. No, they were people who changed society. Every SCV camp needs to run articles in their local paper, in their social media, okay, maybe once every year, about people like that. What it does, it puts a face, a human face on the Confederate veteran, plus it brings the people back to realize at the local level, these were very important people. These are just not some crazy old men that went off to war for no reason. They were upstanding citizens of the community and of their state. So that's another project. Now, think of it like this. There are a little over 800 camps, SCV camps in the Confederation. If even once a year, every camp would do that, look how many people we would impress. You can use your social media to get the information out, or you can buy a small little ad in your local paper. Now, Carl Jones and I have discussion back and forth about ads in local paper, and he makes a correct point that most people nowadays don't read newspapers, and usually your demographics for reading newspapers from 55 to 85, so you lose a lot of people younger than that. But of course, my point is most of our members fall into that category anyway, from 55 and above. That doesn't mean we should neglect them. But here's the thing, we can leverage that ad. Let's say, Sean, your camp runs a little old quarter page ad in your paper, highlighting one of members of your camp that was a Confederate veteran, that was a standard bearer for the progress in your community, well-known, well-respected. All right, that little ad that ran in that paper will probably get to about maybe 12% of the people. You take that ad, you can either photocopy it or you can download it on a e-file, and then you, with a little letter from your camp, you mail it to every elected official in your community. Then you send it to all the various organizations, certainly the VFW and American Legion, or any other patriotic organization. You're letting them know, you're taking that information that was in that page. Say, look, we ran this ad, and it's about a very substantial member of society that was a Confederate veteran, and we're defending his honor. It puts them, the elected official, on notice that, number one, the SCV is out there, we're active, and number two, we're defending decent people who made a fundamental change in society. So it's a win-win. And then, by all means, please use your social media. In my camp, we've got a little old small camp, and we've got in that camp, I think, about 25, 30 members. And you usually have anywhere from 8 to 18 people show up. Out of that group, at least one half of them will have some form of social media. We can take that same ad I was telling you about, run it in your social media, get it to your family and your friends, and ask them to share that information. There are other things. Don't just stick with Facebook. I'm not real familiar, but on Instagram, for instance, they deal mostly with photographs and pictures. The next time your camp does a cemetery cleanup, don't just put it on your social media and forget about it, or put it in your camp newsletter. You need to try to get it to a newspaper. They may run it or may not, but you can take that and make a picture of it and send it again to every elected official out there. Let them know. Put it on Instagram. You would be surprised how that thing will pick. Put it on TikTok. Those things are picked up and seen by thousands of people. So if we do that and do it effectively, we can reach hundreds of thousands of people. So I'm real interested in trying to get things like this going. A lot of camps, for instance, say, well, we're a small camp. We don't have money to buy radio ads, and we don't have money to buy a newspaper ad. How much does it cost to put something on your social media? I can put something on my Facebook. It don't cost me a penny. If you got 8 active members in your camp and each of them has some form of social media, you can reach thousands of people in your community if you push stuff through that social media. It doesn't cost us anything. And at the local level, we're not going to get shadow banned. Now, nationally, right now, I have like, I don't know, 3,000, 4,000 quote friends on my site. I can send stuff out, and Facebook will allow maybe 50 to 100 people to see that. Because I'm a known entity, but at the local level, you're not going to have that problem. And you will have a multiplier effect when you do that. So please look at your social. Even you got a small camp, you can be very active with your social media. Get on Instagram. When you do a cemetery cleanup, if you're cleaning grave sites, if you do a memorial service, by all means, get a picture. Put it on Instagram, put it on Facebook, put it on TikTok. Don't just stop at one. And remember, 800 camps. If 800 camps would do that, even just 3 or 4 times a year, can you just imagine how many hundreds of thousands of people we will reach? And that would cost us essentially nothing. Now, there are other things we need to do. And Sean, if I'm talking too much, you need to say something, interrupt me, please.
You're fine, sir.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm going to take that as a go ahead.
Yes, sir.
All right. Another thing that I'm really want to push is for our SCV camps to get active in voter registration and voter outreach, voter going to the polls, getting out. Now, there's nothing in our tax exempt status that prevents us from assisting people to become registered to vote or to get the voters out to the polls. Now, you cannot politic. You cannot offer, say the SCV will help you if we've got a list of people that we know that are having trouble getting to the polls. If you say, well, we'll provide you with transportation, you cannot actively support any candidate or insist that they vote, or you just stay quiet about that. But you can offer to get voter turnout, to help them turn out. And here's another thing. You can run in your social media if you can't afford radio, or you can run little 30-second ads. I think Commander Hart, if I'm not mistaken, ran a lot of 30-second ads up there in their camp. Had nothing to do with voter ad, but it had to do with Southern heritage. We can do the same thing in our area for voter turnout. You can simply say, the Sons of Confederate Veterans is a patriotic veterans organization. Good Americans vote. We encourage you to vote. The Sons of Confederate Veterans are asking you to go to the polls this Tuesday, whatever. That is non-political politics. It's political in the sense it's telling our people to get out and vote, but it's non-political. It will not affect your 501(c)(3) tax exempt status. But that's something that we need to do. We've got to do that. Another thing you can do, I don't know if y'all remember, but when we first started having this fight with Arlington about Arlington, the legislature, the House of Representatives had a vote on whether or not to fund this commission that was tearing down our monument in Arlington. Do you realize over half, maybe even more than half of Southern representatives voted along with those woke individuals that was wanting to take down the monument? Now, these people, don't look at them as enemies. I know we had a representative in the district right next to mine. I'm in Speaker of the House, his Mike Johnson. I'm in his district. We had great relations with them. We communicated with them and insisted that they not support this. And as far as I know, he did not vote for that. But anyway, there was a representative next door to us that did vote to it. She is a conservative. She runs on conservative small government values, the very values that our Confederate veterans fought for. She should have known better. But it's not because she's an enemy. We haven't let her know who we are. And therefore, politicians, they're only interested in two things. Number one, getting elected. Number two, staying elected. One of the things that I'm encouraging the SCV to do is at the camp level. And again, this can be done at the brigade level. This is why it's so important, going back to my original statement about getting the brigades together and brigade commanders in a kind of a back and forth, what can we do, what works, what doesn't work type of relationship. But what we need to do is every now and then, once or twice a year, put on our nice suit clothes and walk up to the local office of your representative. Now, the representative won't be there, but their office staff will be there. And you knock on the door and you present what we do in Louisiana. Hey, we'll get them a king cake. During the Mardi Gras season, we'll present the staff there with king cake with a note from the Sons of Confederate Veterans. We appreciate your patriotic stance. We believe and again, we're telling them that we're a veterans organization, et cetera, et cetera. And no arguments, nothing in your face. Why didn't you vote like this? You've just been polite, but you're letting them know these people are active. They actually showed up at our doorsteps. Do not underestimate what effect that will have. And maybe the next time something comes up in the federal Congress, we'll have Southerners who will not join with the woke crowd to vote against our interests. And better yet, maybe we'll have some Southerners that will say, hey, wait a minute, this has gone too far. And, you're attacking the Confederacy here, the memorial societies for the Southern soldiers. But we happen to see in Washington, the state of Washington, this past 2 weeks, where a group of participants in a parade were not allowed to participate because they carried the wrong flag. Sean, do you know what flag they were carrying?
I haven't heard anything about this one.
All right, this happened in Seattle, Washington. A drill team was going to march, and their uniforms, once they finish their program, their uniforms, when they stand together, has a great big old, not Confederate flag, but United States flag. And they said that would trigger too many people, and they were denied entrance in the parade. Wow. See, people begin to realize in New York, just a week later, a group of those radicals up there pulled down a United States flag and burned it. So it's not people, American. And what I'm trying to stress here is that Americans are beginning to put two and two together. But we've got to be the one that shove it together and say, look, they attacked us. They're attacking us. They're using the same formula against the United States flag as they did against the Confederate flag. You need to listen to us for a change and what we have to say about our heritage and our history. So it can be done, and we do. Now, there's another project. Now, I've got several of these little things that I'm trying to throw out here. I hope something catches hold of people's attention. One of the things that I'm suggesting that every SCV camp take on as a project is a very simple project, very, very, very minimal cost, is that, and some people are already doing that. And what I'm telling you now is some things that I've learned talking to other people. Remember, I said communication is a two-way street. So a lot of this I'm learning from other people because we communicate. So that's why communication is so very, very important. But one of the things that I see some camps already doing, but I hope all camps will start doing, is in your local community, identify one individual that's not a member of the SCV, but he certainly talks and acts and leans in our direction. Now, that individual ought to be receiving a complimentary copy of the Confederate veteran from the local camp. Now, just think, we've got over 800 camps. If 800 camps would do this, that's 800 people that will be getting that Confederate veteran that possibly had never heard of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Now, here's the important thing. That magazine will not be seen by one person. It's going to be seen by 2, 3, and sometimes 4 or 5 people. It will create talk. So you have a multiplier effect there. Instead of just 400, how many camps? 800 camps, yeah. Instead of just 800 magazines going out to 800 people, you may have 2,000 or 3,000 people view it. Now, again, don't expect, just because we bought Joe Blow down here a magazine subscription for 1 year, he's going to automatically be a member. No, there are three classes of people. There are those who, like us, who are activists. We're active. We're really in the fight. Then there are those who are just motivated. Those type of people are the ones that they're not members, but when they hear us say something, they'll holler, yes, I agree. Those are the people, when you're in a parade and you're waving a Confederate flag, you hear all these rebel yells and hollering going on. You know the people love it. Those are people that have been motivated. Out of that group, eventually we will glean members. Then you have the uneducated, I call them the uneducated people, the people that really, in their hearts, they want to feel good about their heritage, but all they ever hear is the doggone Yankee propaganda. And they hear it in school, they hear it in the media, they even now hear it in church sometimes. So if we don't get out there and give our side of the story, those people will never be motivated to do more than just sit there, and they may end up becoming our enemies if we don't provide them with information. So this magazine going out will help that also. And it's, what does 1 year subscription cost? If your camp can't afford that, then you're in trouble, folks. You need a lot of help. But let's think about that. That's one of the projects that we can do in the future, and it doesn't cost much. So that's just some of the things that I've been thinking about doing, and hopefully we will be able to do things like that, and especially in the area of enlightening our political establishment. But the political establishment will not be enlightened if we don't enlighten the general public. So we've got to think about ways to get our information out to the general public. Now, I've got over here a little thing, and I'm going to hold it up here. Maybe you can see it. Here we go. It's media type. This is something that I believe if you go to the Confederate Legion website, you'll see it. This is a list. We're trying to get in every division a list of friendly media. There are weekly, sometimes daily, very few dailies left, but there are weekly newspapers. There are podcasts. There are radios, a radio station. There are programs like this that are either Second Amendment or pro freedom of speech type. All groups like that are friendly to our cause that we can send from the national press releases. When the fight started with Arlington, the National sent out press releases. Well, we sent it out to the regular, AP and Wall Street Journal and all these people. We got very, very, very little response, if any at all. Now, how do we circumvent that? If in every division across the Confederation, we have a list of friendly media, whether it's newspaper, podcasts, radio programs, TV programs. There are some small TV channels that will run our stuff. We can send our press releases there and circumvent some of this censorship that we're facing in the Sons of Confederate Veterans. There again, there's another program that we've got to get with and got to put together and use that. So there are a lot of things we can do. Now, that's mostly at the local level. before we've got, looks like I got about maybe 10 minutes left here. I want to talk about what we can do at the national level and how it can happen. At the national level, we can produce, and we have, if you'll go on our website, our Confederate Legion website, you'll see some videos and also some radio, 1 minute radio ads that are being played across the Confederation. At the national level, what we need to do is be sure that these type of ads are put on a national footing. If any of you are ever listened to XM radio, Sirius XM radio, there are on the Patriot channel, there's a big group of people there. I'm trying to think of the Will Cow Majority is one of the ones that I listen to when I'm traveling. We need to have our ads being run on that. Any of you ever listened to Dan Bongino? He's in the station. He's located there in Florida. He has part of the old EIB network for Rush Limbaugh, and very, very strong, very conservative. He's from New Jersey or New York originally. I think he's living in Florida now, and he is a really outstanding DJ. He's got a podcast as well as a radio program. We need to have contacts with him, and I think I've got a way to contact him, and we need to run our ads on his program. There are several conservative periodicals that has circulation anywhere from 10 to 20 to 30,000. Conservative. These are people who are small government, states' rights. They're ideal people to try to get into either as friends of the SCB or SCB members. We need, at the national level, we need to run ads, in print ads there. So all these things working together, we can have a big impact. Now, here's our problem, Sean. All of this takes money. One of the things we want to do next April is to have a big, gigantic show of Confederate History Month in April. We want April to be as well known for Confederate heritage and history as February is known for Black history. Not taking anything away from anybody. We're just saying April needs to be our month, and we need to do it in a big way. And we need to have billboards all across town. I'm borrowing from Virginia. They had some great billboards. We can do the same thing. We can do it at the national. We can do it at the local. And I think in Georgia had some great yard signs out that they use. We can do that. But we need to do all of this as well as running some major, major ads. I would love to see something like our Walls Could Talk ad that is done on Confederate, on SCB chat. An ad similar to that ran on, say, Tucker Carlson's program that he runs on Twitter. And there are other places we can run, Newsmax, one day Fox. Now, it takes money to do that. Right now, we are the Sons of Confederate Veterans. You and I, through our membership, we're paying anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 a month to retire a banknote that we have to have. That banknote, if it's not paid off by the year from this July, the interest rate alone is going to be double or triple. It's going to hurt us. So we've already knocked it way down. It's only, I think it's down to the banknote itself. Now, I'm talking strictly about the banknote that we're paying each month. It's down to, I think, like 1.2 or 1.1 million. What we're trying to do, we've got a new program called 21st Century Confederate Heroes. It's a new program that we will provide for people who will join up and sign up for this. We'll provide them with a neck ribbon that says 21st Century Confederate Heroes. They'll get a full page ad in a book describing their hero, their family heritage, who they are, how that family member was, and everybody will see that. You've got a paver that will be put in there with your hero and the individual that paid into this, and it will be on the 21st Century Confederate walkway, Confederate Heroes walkway that'll run from the museum to the plaza, the Forest Plaza. Part of this funds going to this event is going to pay off the mortgage, bank mortgage. Now I'm talking about the bank mortgage. Pay that off so that we'll clear up that $10,000 a month to use for something else. And that something else is going to be taking our message to John Q. Public. We're going on the offensive. We're not just sitting here servicing a bank debt. We're doing what we're supposed to do to vindicate the cause of the South. We're going to rebuild that Forest Monument, that Forest Plaza, put Forest up on his pedestal, not sitting on the ground, but up on his pedestal, redo that, have a big celebration there. And when we free up that money, we will have money that we could go on the offensive. We can buy ads then in these nationally syndicated programs. We can't do it now. That money is going to pay for the banknote every month. So to join this, we're asking for at least 1,500 Southerners who will become a Confederate to join up, and it costs $1,000. Now that $1,000 does not have to be paid in one lump note. I've already paid for one in one lump note. Now I'm paying the second one. I've done one for my wife. I'm doing one for my family, Confederate veteran. I put down like $200. No, I put down $150. Now I'm paying $50 a month. It's an easy payment plan. So even people like me can afford to do this. Now, the important thing to remember is that this money is going to go to, number one, get that note off our back. Number two, rebuild the Forest Plaza. And number three, the most important thing is go on the offensive in a big way. Let the world know who we are, why we love our Confederate veterans, and why it is important for all Americans to defend Southern heritage. As I said, they're beginning to wake up to realize it's not just Southern heritage under attack. It's all traditional American values. Now, if you'll take, I think if the commander has not already sent it out, there will be something on the Telegraph directing people to a video that Ron and I did explaining more in detail this effort. And if you want to, I believe you can go to the Confederate Legion website at sev.org at the Confederate Legion website, and you'll see more information on how to get involved in this. People, if you want to go on the offensive, this is how we're going to do it. Now, I've had people complain to me, say, well, why we're having to pay for this? I didn't cause this problem. And I agree with them. I didn't cause it either. But who in the heck is going to solve the problem if it ain't us? So, we've got the monkey. It's on our back. We've got to get it off. Now we can continue. Now, I'll be honest with you, if you want to continue to not be able to answer the charges against our Confederate, if you want to go on not putting our message out and only letting the enemy's message be heard, then we can continue to take that $10,000 every month for the next, 5 years and pay off that mortgage. But what will we have in 5 years if we, the sons of Confederate veterans, don't stand tall and preach our message to the world? It will be lost then, and you won't be able to gain it back. So this is why it's so important for us to join up with this 21st century Confederate heroes effort, and let's get this done. Let's get this monkey off our back. Let's get to work at taking the message to John Q. Public about our noble heritage and why the neo-Marxist radical left is so wrong and the South was right. So with that, sir, I think I will just shut up for a while.
All right, because we do have a question for you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you able to see it? This comes from Victor Smith.
All right. How would you go about to get the Hunley Awards recognized nationally again, if once we become well known, once we put our message out, once we give the other side slowly but surely all this, Nothing that has been lost cannot be regained, but it will not be regained if we continue to do what we've been doing in the past. It's not that what we've been doing in the past is in and of itself wrong. It's simply we are working against a big propaganda effort by the left, and they have been successful, and we have been unsuccessful in getting our message out. The ROTC, if we have our Southern congressmen and our Southern senators on our side, there won't be a problem anymore, because guess who holds the purse strings? I guarantee you, once that happens, they say, hey, no, you're not treating our people like that. You know, we've got a rich history of patriotic endeavor by Southerners. Not only before the war between the states, during and after, even up to this last event, Southerners were the ones. Many people said that the U.S. Army up until recently spoke with a Southern accent. So there's no reason why we cannot have our medals and everything recognized by the ROTC. We can do that, but we can't do it until we get our message out and get people, number one, educated, number two, motivated, and number three, activated. And we can't do that by doing what we've been doing in the past, which, as I said, it's nothing wrong. We've got a debt, we got to pay for it. But we get that debt out of the way, we've got $10,000 a month that we can tell the world why the South was right. And folks, once we start that process, it won't happen overnight. Nothing, all this stuff wasn't taken down overnight. It will come back. Nothing that has been lost cannot be regained if we organize, and if we fight, and if we fight boldly and correctly.
Cool. Does anybody else have any questions for our Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief? Feel free to ask, or hold your peace until Charleston. This is the time to do it. Now, I do have a question and a concern.
All right.
Maybe you can look into this. Now, lately, I've been going on the national website, and just to get on there has been a little slow.
You're kidding. I've never noticed that.
Yeah. I figure I'll bring it up to the second man in charge.
Yeah. Could I address that website problem quickly?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
And listen, we've all talked about the GEC has talked about, we pulled our hair out about the website. Number one, the website we got right now is a good website for membership, for members to get information. Now, it needs to be adjusted to make it a little more easy to find things. But what we also need is a website for people who don't know what the heck the SCV is, so they can get on there and find out and then make them members. So, but to do that, guess what it's going to take? Money. People. We don't have money because we're spending $10,000 a month to pay for a banknote. So this is another thing. And here's something else. Some of our equipment at headquarters, I'm talking about clerical equipment, computers, they're so old, they won't even take some of the programs that are coming out. We're going to have to get new computer system. Then we're not talking about tens of thousands of dollars here, but nevertheless, when you're operating on the thin red line there, trying to get everything to pay off this debt, then, you know, we don't have money to do that with. So how would y'all like to see that headquarters museum open every Saturday? Well, what would that take? There you go again. There's that money. We got to have it. If we get that debt paid off and not spend $10,000 a month, we could spend maybe $1,500 a month to hire a part-time person on Saturday to help out there. You know, these things can be done. Membership, we can grow this membership. You want to grow membership? Listen, you grow membership the same way you sell Coca-Cola. Advertise. That's what I'm talking about when I say we have $10,000 to spend to promote our cause. It's a PR, public relation campaign. If you want to get members, you let the world know who you are and why they should be proud to defend Southern heritage. We'll get members. It makes it easier for the camp to recruit in the local community, and retention will go up because people join the SCV nowadays not because they want to necessarily join a genealogical organization or sit around and talk about battles and leaders. I mean, all that's part of it. But most people now join it because they're darn mad because people are pulling down our monuments and stomping on the good character of Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson, and they want to do something about it. Well, if they never see us doing anything about it, they're not going to be retained. They're going to drop off the map. So this effort that I'm talking about will free up those funds to do all those things. We can double and triple our membership in 4 or 5 years. Hey, that will solve a lot of problem in itself. Politicians will know we're out there, we're growing, we're big, we're active, and we're dangerous people to fool with. Those people won't vote for us, and they're liable to cause us problems if we don't listen to what they say. They will not join the neo-Marxists in taking down monuments or allowing it to happen. They'll stand by us for a change. So there again, thank you for bringing that up. The website is just one of the problems that we're dealing with, but the biggest problem there, again, it costs a lot of money to do a new website.
Yep. Yeah, because it just finally went. So I was trying to get a link to what you were talking about, and now it's frozen. So
yeah. Yeah, I tried to go on there to download some stuff yesterday for the convention, and same thing. And this is the SCV website, not the convention website, SCV website, and it was very slow. And we've got to redo that. We've got to work on it. But that again, it takes financial means to do that. And if we don't gain members there, so many of our members are aging out and dying that if we don't start replacing those members, we're almost about 1-to-1 right now. We gain one, we lose one. We lose them through death. Well, if we lose them just because they don't renew, well, there's hope there. But if you lose them with death, that's it. They're gone for good. They're in a better place than us. Praise be to God. So, But anyway, we can regain. We can increase our membership. We can regain everything that was lost. And I'm not being Pollyannic when I say that, people. I honestly believe it. I've seen it happen. I'm a student of history. I've studied history, and I know these things can be done because they've been done in the past. So we can do it ourselves.
Yes, sir. All righty, sir. The magic number has hit. Before Mr. Kennedy leaves, and probably the next time we're going to see him, it's either Commander Comments or in Charleston.
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions for him? Feel free to ask or forever hold your peace till Charleston. Give it a minute, see if anybody's thinking of anything. So the next person I gotta hit up is Tony with Virginia to get him on the show. He's running for Lieutenant CIC.
Yeah, Tony Griffin, they've done a lot of, and Ron and I have really followed a lot of as I say, communication is a two-way street, and we've learned a lot about and as I say, I've learned a lot from what Florida has done. I've learned a lot about what Georgia, and we need to have good communication so we can put all these things together and start marching together down the street toward victory, because I'm a solid believer that we can win this fight.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on a subject that I'm passionate about is communication. And I've been in the SCV since I was 18 years old. And at that time, all I saw was camp level. I didn't hear anything coming from division. I get the Confederate veteran all the time and talking with various members over the years. And look at me now.
Well, we have the technology now to do things that wasn't even dreamed of back when you and I first joined, and
Yep.
it's amazing. Though we've got to learn to take advantage of it. And we've been a little slow on that, and we need to catch up and get going.
Yeah. A combination of this show and SCV chat. We'll bring you the news. If you want a little bit more history, you can check out the Douglas Friedman group, or you can check out Michael Hardy's group on Sunday Night History Chat.
There you go. And that's another thing I didn't have time to talk about, but we're also looking at the headquarters having a way to produce our own short videos, some 30-minute to 1 hour videos about pertinent issues, and doing little shorts that we can put on on YouTube. We need to have a decent SCV YouTube and Rumble account. All these things are things that we need to do. And again, to do the videography work, it might take a few coins to do that. And we can do that once this doggone banknote is taken care of. It's a monkey on our back. I did not put the monkey there. Sean, you didn't put it there.
Nope.
The GEC did not put it there. It's been there for a while and has grown. So we've got to get rid of it so we can get busy with the job for which members join this organization, and that is to vindicate the cause of our Confederate ancestors.
Yes, sir. All righty. It's been a fun night, Mr. Kennedy. Great. It's always a pleasure having you on the show and getting your thoughts and what's going on. And I know the chat heads, whatever you want to call them, appreciate it too, sir. Just like you said, the show is about communication, not only Florida Division, AOT, and we're Mr. Kennedy's representing is our national leadership.
Absolutely.
This is to bring you the up-to-date news, what's going on, and what we need to be proactive about. Not sitting down there and reacting to it, but being proactive.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Let's make our enemies respond to us instead of us always responding to them. That's what I mean when I say we go on the offensive and quit that defensive mentality. I'm not a great fan of defense. I think that if you got a wonderful offense, that makes your defense a lot stouter because they don't have to stay on the field defending the goal all the time. So we make the other team work for it. So it's almost like LSU football. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking to Florida. I beg your pardon.
That's all right. Hopefully my team will get their stuff together and have a good season.
Absolutely.
He's at LSU. I'm a Gators fan, so hopefully both teams get their stuff together and go on for that championship this year.
Hey, as long as they can whip Alabama, it's a successful year.
Hey, remember, well, we got tigers in the chat, we got dogs in the chat. We got Carl in the chat too, and I think he's an Alabama fan, but don't quote me on that, Carl.
Hey, it's one of those Alabama teams. I don't know, it may be a junior college. I don't know.
Yep.
We'll hear from Carl about that.
We'll probably get a phone call here in a little bit from Carl.
Yeah.
All right. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Only talk with you, but seeing the okay. Just reading some of the chat, guys. So no questions came up. I think we're good, Mr. Kennedy. Thank you for, let's end the show. I like this video due to the fact it is a Florida Division member that is on this video. So, with that being said, stay Southern, stay out of trouble. May the Lord bless you in your adventures.
Amen.
My name is Nelson W. Winbush. I'm a member of the Jacob Sumner Camp 1516 Sons of Confederate Veterans. My reason for joining the Sons of Confederate Veterans after the NAACP declared they would destroy and remove everything Confederate in 1990, I decided that I would do all I could to make sure that people understood what the Confederacy stood for.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.